a rivalry born in rage, a friendship buried under decades of silence. And now, an unexpected confession. James Hetfield has opened a door fans never thought he'd touch again. His complicated, emotional history with Dave Mustaine and his band Megadeth. We all know the headlines, fights, firings, decades of bitterness. But what really happened behind the guitars, the fame, and the music? Why now, at 61, is he speaking up? And what does he truly think about the man who helped build Metallica, only to become its fiercest rival? We dug through interviews, confessions, and lost chances to unpack this long-running feud, one that changed the course of heavy metal forever. In 1981, fate collided with ambition when four young musicians crossed paths, unaware they were about to redefine the very essence of metal. James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich, two driven kids from California with an insatiable hunger for sound, had just begun molding what would become Metallica, but they needed something or someone to electrify their chemistry. That's when Dave Mustaine entered the picture, a lightning rod of raw talent and unchecked aggression. Mustaine wasn't just another guitarist. He was a storm in human form, a musician who played with fury and lived with even more. From day one, Mustaine's influence on Metallica was impossible to ignore. His guitar work was jagged, sharp, and deeply emotional, bringing menace, chaos, and edge to songs like The Four Horsemen and Jump in the Fire. Many fans don't realize just how much of early Metallica's DNA carried his fingerprints. Without Dave's relentless energy, those tracks might have lacked the searing force that helped ignite the thrash metal movement. But genius comes with a price. Mustaine's brilliance was wrapped in volatility. His drinking spiraled out of control. He picked fights, clashed with crew members, and disrupted rehearsals with unpredictable outbursts. Even in moments of triumph, tension was thick. The band admired his skills, but feared his temper. It wasn't just music they were making. They were living in a pressure cooker. One moment laid it all bare. When Mustaine's dog damaged bassist Ron McGovney's car, tempers exploded. Hetfield, always fiercely loyal to the group, confronted Mustaine, who, in a drunken rage, responded with violence. The punch he threw that night may have sealed his fate. It wasn't just about the dog. It was about control, trust, and a band on the verge of collapse. Behind the scenes, Hetfield and Ulrich wrestled with a decision they never wanted to make. They needed Mustaine's fire, but they feared it would burn the whole project down. Just days before Metallica was set to enter the studio for their debut album, Kill 'Em All, they made the call. They fired him. No discussion, no warning. They put Mustaine on a Greyhound bus back to Los Angeles with nothing but his gear and a hard goodbye. The impact was devastating. It was the biggest betrayal of my life, Mustaine later said. I helped start that band. I poured everything into it, and they tossed me out like garbage. The pain didn't fade with time. It festered, fueling a decades-long rivalry that shaped both men's careers. Hetfield later acknowledged the guilt. We were all wild back then, but Dave took it further than we could handle. We did what we had to do, but that doesn't mean it didn't hurt. In Hetfield's mind, it wasn't just a band decision. It was the loss of a brother. And yet, Mustaine didn't disappear. He transformed. From the ashes of rejection, he built Megadeth, a band crafted not just to succeed, but to eclipse Metallica. Every riff he wrote, every lyric he screamed, was a declaration of war. Metallica had tried to silence him, but instead, they created a rival who would become their mirror, their shadow, and their fiercest challenger. The fire they lit together didn't just burn bridges. It ignited something far more powerful. Dave Mustaine wasn't walking away defeated. He was gearing up for a war of his own, bruised in ego and spirit. Mustaine didn't simply stare out the bus window on the way back to Los Angeles. He was planning revenge. In those long hours of isolation, a mission took shape. Not just to form another band, but to build something so powerful it would haunt the very people who had exiled him. That mission would become Megadeth. This wasn't a clean slate. It was war. Mustaine created not from peace, but from rage, channeling betrayal, humiliation, and anger into his songwriting. In just 2 years, that fury erupted onto the world with Killing Is My Business, and Business Is Good, released in 1985. Chaotic, intense, and technically brutal, it didn't sound like a debut. It sounded like a threat. One track, Mechanics, stood out. Fast, ferocious, and unapologetic. It was a reworked version of Metallica's The Four Horsemen, a song Mustaine had co-written. By rebranding it under his name and speeding it up, he sent a clear message. This was mine all along. But Mustaine wasn't just shouting at Metallica. He was reshaping metal itself. Unlike Metallica, who were moving toward a broader audience, Megadeth doubled down on complexity, intricate guitar work, whiplash tempo changes, and aggressive vocals. Mustaine didn't just want to match Metallica's energy. He wanted to surpass it. The divide between the bands widened quickly. Metallica gained mainstream traction, especially after Ride the Lightning and Master Puppets, praised for evolving their sound with melodies, structure, and moments of vulnerability. Megadeth remained firmly in the trenches of pure thrash, and the divide became a spiritual battleground for fans. Metallica matured. Megadeth refused to compromise. Mustaine fueled the fire, calling Metallica sellouts, mocking lyrics, and accusing them of coasting on fame. Fans loved him for it. He became the anti-hero who had been wronged and came back swinging. Behind the scenes, Hetfield and Ulrich took notice. They listened to Megadeth albums, saw the headlines, heard the venom. Hetfield confessed, "We knew Dave was out there. We could feel it. And yeah, it made us work harder." Where Mustaine externalizes pain, Hetfield internalizes, responding not with confrontation, but with elevation, focusing on making Metallica so great no feud could overshadow them. Still, the shadow lingered. No matter how many albums Metallica sold, no matter the size of their tours, Mustaine was there, snarling in interviews, pushing technical boundaries, always reminding the world that he had been part of the foundation. By the late 1980s, Megadeth was more than Mustaine's revenge project. It was a legitimate force in metal. Albums like Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? And So Far, So Good, So What? Weren't just commercial successes. They were artistic statements. Mustaine had gone from exile guitarist to visionary frontman. But the rivalry continued to burn. Even as Megadeth climbed higher, the world still compared him to Metallica, and the comparison, fair or not, kept the tension alive. While Mustaine roared through every solo with vengeance, Hetfield responded quietly but profoundly, channeling unspoken rivalry into Metallica's evolution. With Kirk Hammett replacing Mustaine on lead guitar, Hetfield stepped up, not just as frontman, but as the emotional engine of the band. He carried the guilt of firing Mustaine, the pressure to fulfill lost potential, and the hunger to prove Metallica had made the right choice. Ride the Lightning, released in 1984, marked a dramatic leap forward. Sharper riffs, tighter compositions, darker themes. This wasn't just thrash, it was evolution. Hetfield's songwriting matured, digging into existential fears and societal disillusionment. The band wasn't reacting to Mustaine's attacks. They were outrunning them, but Hetfield admitted later that the competition never fully left his mind.